And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of Outdoor Journal Radio.
Well, Happy New Year's, everybody. We made it.
Wow, can you believe it?
There were moments where I was doubtful, but
touchy.
Here we are, 2024. Thank you for all of you for joining us today and staying with us throughout the year. It's been a fantastic year. We're gonna
and this is episode 100.
Hell yeah!
Woo!
Yeah, hell yeah,
baby.
I love that. We're gonna dissect this year. You know, the usual review, New Year's review. We're going to go through some of the old episodes from this season, and we're going to see what...
see how they rated, how our audience loved them or hated them or unbiased to us.
Thank you to all of you for a great grand opening for the Fishing Canada store this year. Finally, way overdue.
Yeah, way overdue. Only about 25 years overdue, right?
Exactly.
I'd say.
It's now up and running. You know, it's being populated with new products on a daily basis. So from here on in, it's just going to grow like crazy. So bear with us. But thanks for your participation in getting it off the ground. It's been fantastic. If you have not been there yet, please do go. I believe there's a sale going on right now on some of the
There's always a sale
stuff
going on there.
Is that what it is?
If people want to see some of the stuff, but they're not going to the internet, and you want to hear this podcast, you could actually see Angelo and I modeling it live on YouTube, on our Fishing Canada YouTube channel. We are always wearing different ideas, if it's in the store, maybe an idea for the store or something like that, and you can get a look at that on our YouTube channel, like this right here. This is
I don't know when last time I saw you with the collar.
Well, once a year.
Once a year,
bud, whether I need to or not. You know, so New Year's. I figure
I'm with collarless.
Yes.
He's collared today.
Yes,
so
sir.
there's maybe we're a new trend for the 2024.
Don't get used to it, my friend.
Listener feedback via Apple Podcast. This is a good one. I'm really happy for this one. Doesn't tell us who or what, but anyways, does it?
Yeah, Little Freeboarder.
Oh, Little Freeboarder. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome, Angelo.
Little Freeboarder via Apple Podcast says, I always enjoy the podcast, but the Sam Lowry episode was one of the best. You should bring on more Ontario COs. Great content. So for those of you who might not be familiar with that episode, Sam Lowry is a retired CO from Montana and Arizona, I believe, were the two jurisdictions that he worked through. And he wrote a book, and he's got just some outstanding stories, and that's what this was all about, was getting Sam on to share some of those stories with you. And they're outrageous. What episode is that, Dean?
96.
So 96, if you haven't listened to it yet, please go back into the library, episode 96.
It's a great one. I'll tell you, Sam, he's such a personality, too. And then Little Freeboarder asked about the Ontario COs. The problem is we have a hard time getting current COs, conservation officers, on the show, and that's because they're government employees, right? And they're the Canadian or Ontario government, at least, is very walking on that real, edge.
In all fairness to that comment, Sam is retired.
That's what I mean. I'm saying current. He said COs.
Yes,
Ontario COs.
Yeah, but if Sam were still working, I don't think he could talk, regardless of what country he's from, right? So
I agree.
These guys
you're taking a chance on your job, right? There's probably all kinds of laws and rules that you can't do it, right? I would assume. Now, to get some Ontario retired conservation officers, we've looked into it. They're hard to find, but we're gonna keep working on it because we agree. You think that we don't like that content? We love that content. We love hearing that kind of stuff. So we will try our best. We'll get Dean on it and bird dog into these old retired COs.
By the way, we've asked Sam Lowry to become a semi-regular on this show. Maybe monthly or every 6 weeks, which he's cool with. But I've also asked him to be a podcaster and start his own show because I think he's just got so much great stuff.
Man.
So keep an eye out because certainly this year we plan on doing a lot more with him. So thank you very much for pointing that out to us. Podcast Network highlights.
This is a good
Mr.
one,
Bowman.
The good, episode number 22. It says, staff, the good, the bad, and the beautiful. I just love that. Diaries of a Lodge Owner. Right?
Diaries of a Lodge Owner. See, I said the same thing when I first read it. I said, whoa, I don't remember that episode, but it wasn't ours. And so I think whoever made this beautiful little dossier missed some words there.
Come on now.
Thank you.
Poor Dean.
I know.
Give him accolades 1 minute and then rip his head off the next.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
Thank you very much.
That's it. Poor Dean.
This was a great episode, but I know from speaking with Steve, the host of the show, on several occasions about this. It's one of his pet peeves. One of the biggest problems he had in lodge ownership was staff. I think that's a common occurrence throughout that industry. But some of the stories he's got about staff disappearing.
But the kitchen staff is that much higher because, Stevie could even go and make the beds and he could do whatever. If he had to do something, he could do it, right? Or fix something. But when you have to start cooking for 35 people that night and it's got to be good, oh my God, that must be a tough one. Boy. So that's a great story. That's how Steve's staff kitchen just left right before lunch and they just didn't come back. So you want to check that episode of Diaries of a Lodge Owner, episode 22. It's pretty funny. It's a good story.
News. So this is the highlights of the news this past season on...
No, not this one, is it? No. I don't think.
This is not news.
This is just the news.
This is news.
Wow.
Right now, news.
Yeah. When we're done this show, remind me to have a meeting with whoever puts this stuff together. Okay. I just want to get some clarity.
Clarity.
Thank you.
I want clarity. Like my buddy Andre Charette, he always said to the laborers, "We want clarity here when we're working." And
there's something to be said for clarity.
Oh yeah,
I think it's a wonderful thing. But anyway, so in the news, current news.
Yes, sir.
Not to be confused with the news of the past.
Old news. We don't need old news.
We're not. We're dealing with current news now.
Apparently, 2024.
2024.
We're there. We're there now.
Apparently.
There now.
Catch and release study on crappie.
This is very interesting, and it's very real.
And it was conducted, I'm going to make an assumption, anglingbuzz.com and Minnesota DNR. A collaborative effort, Dean?
Is the Angling Buzz, is that the Linder boys or part of that group?
I don't think so.
No?
I think they're independent, yeah.
Okay.
So they did a study this past year, I'm assuming. They couldn't have done it this week.
Yeah.
The past year.
The guy was on 2 inches of ice. It may have actually been in the last couple of weeks.
Really?
It was published on December 7th.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not a lot of ice.
Could be. They're from the north, right?
Yeah.
So,
and they're looking to test the survival rate of deep water crappie that are released. I mean, this has been an ongoing thing since we started fishing tournaments 125 years ago. People saying, yeah, you release them, but, what sort of success rate? How many of them live? And my answer has always been 100%. 100% of the fish that I release stand a better chance of survival than the fish that I don't release. 100%.
That's a pretty good comment right there, buddy.
It's 100%.
I'm not a real arithmetic professional here, but that sounds pretty good to me. I like those numbers. It's true. We could release 100 fish. Ange and I could release 100 fish in a derby, in a fun, in a shoot, or whatever, and they all have a chance. But that one that you keep, he's dying.
100% dead.
Dead.
So there you go. No, we're kidding. Good. But at the time, when this stuff was first coming up, it was a question that reared its ugly head quite often, actually. And there were very few studies that would allow us to say definitively 100%, 90%, 80%, 75%, because it just wasn't any information. So basically, these folks got together and I guess maybe the rise of forward-facing sonar maybe had a lot to do with this, especially in particular with crappie.
It's probably got everything to do with it.
Would you say that crappie is probably the most affected by forward-facing sonar in terms of
yeah, I would say that for sure, because if you really look, if you start YouTubing and looking for crappie anglers, crappie tournaments, etc., and the forward-facing sonar deal, and those guys, you think that the bass anglers are advanced in forward facing sonar? It's the crappie guys who are setting all the trends.
They got all
the rods. They got all the screens in front of them, and they are setting the trends for then the then it goes transition to the bass guys, then to the walleye anglers and all that stuff. So the crappie anglers are really into the forward facing sonar like nobody else. It's incredible what they're doing, really. And I mean, I'll go back to my buddy Mikey Burris. Mikey was telling me the story before I heard this story this year about how he got onto the crappie fishing with it, open water. He says it's amazing technology, it's unbelievable. But he got to the point where he's saying, I don't even know if I want to go anymore because of this right here. He says, because when I go out and get these fish that are hovering over 40 feet of water in a big school and I'm dropping my slip bobber down, he says, you have to keep every one because everyone will die.
Right.
So he says, so I'm going to go out there and keep the first 7 or 8 fish. All I want is 7 or 8 fish in a day. And I can't fish for fun anymore, he said. It's a great point. So he says, I don't even know if I want to go out anymore because I don't want to kill them. Like he just, like, and Mikey's, he's a conservationist. He loves catching fish and eating fish, but he doesn't want to, and if he gets 7 that are not really big, they get those little guys out of there. You just killed 7 fish. You're not really, you're not going to get a meal out of it and all that.
And so the question I would ask is, well, why don't you go look for shallower fish?
Because at that time of year, there are no shallower fish. They are bunched in big balls over top of the, this is later in the year. This is usually fall. And the only time you find them is out in the open water. It's easy to find them with forward. I'm telling you, you look at it. We've seen it. You've seen those just like a ball of bait. Well, imagine crappies are even more prominent, right? So, and that's what the study's all about, is that when they're doing it ice fishing, because that's the same thing. Usually these fish are hovering over deeper water as a rule in the ice fishing. And some of the results here.
Well, first of all, the method that they used was to do this through the ice, so they could control it, rod and reel. So that they imitated what a normal angler would go through. And then they would release them into pens that were sitting
giant pen
just below the ice.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead.
Yeah. So they did 3 different lakes. Mm-hmm. Lake 1, which had a 44-foot depth to it. They caught fish in 28 feet of water. 12 recovered. 16 died.
Wow.
And 22 were non-releasable. Could not return to the depth. Wow. They just stayed up floating. Lake number 2.
Man, hang on let's just stop there for a minute. And that's 28 feet.
Yeah, because usually that number is 30. But we used to hear the 30 foot was the number that
30 and even 35, is a concern. But here we're talking 28 feet.
28. So
and by the look of it, less than 20%, almost 15% survived.
Mm.
Wow.
Which is quite surprising.
Wow.
Which I thought at 28 feet that there would be a lot more.
Now, is it a possibility that this is just inherent in this particular species now?
Well, I think
obviously, right?
Yeah, I would think that there's got to be something to do with the crappie versus the smallmouth versus the walleye, sort of thing like that. Right. And I don't even know about the saltwater fish. Where to start there, because you see those yellow-eyed rockfish that come up with their right out of their faces. Right, it's ridiculous. The next lake number 2 is 24-foot of water lake. The fish were caught in 16 feet of water. 48 recovered, 2 non-releasable.
There you go.
Much better. Lake number 3, 29, a little deeper, 29 feet of water. The fish were caught at 22 in 29, and 46 recovered, and 4 were dead.
Yeah. So it looks to me here that that 20 to 25 foot is probably the magic number in terms of where the fish are when they're caught.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether the total depth of the lake would make a huge difference. See, based on this, the first lake was 44 feet, but the fish were caught at 28.
Yeah, which they do. They suspend, right? These fish do suspend through the wintertime and through the late fall. So it's these numbers, we'd have to really work with these. We should probably look into it a little more.
20 feet. 20 feet seems to be, now, for crappie.
Mm-hmm. So when you're fishing this, very quickly, when you're fishing this ball of crappies, though, they can be from 20 feet to 30 feet. It could be a 10-foot thick band of fish. So what's to say that 30-footer wouldn't come up and pop your jig too, right? And then he's not gonna be able to be released. Now, usually you can hover it above them in the 20-footers. That'd be great if you could do that and just catch the top. But maybe the top ones are small and the bottom ones are big. There's just so many variables. And
I'm sure that the amount of time coming through the different depths would make a difference too,
Yeah,
right?
because faster is more dangerous, and it's a panfish, so he's going to come up fast. There's hardly any resistance, right? So I'm wondering about the release devices, like the sequelizer and things like that. I wonder if or even fizzing. I wonder if a crappie can be fizzed. They're so small. It'd be a dangerous poke in there for sure. But what about a release device? I wonder if you could literally do the old reverse milk crate thing and put it in there and drop it down to that 30 foot of water. And would they release it? Because these guys didn't look like they tried that.
No.
They put it in that pen, and that pen looked like it only went down to about 10 feet. Dean? It didn't look.
Yeah.
It
I don't
looked
think it's any deeper than that.
Maybe not even. So, because that's what I would think, that you should try and bring a release device if you're crappie fishing in deep water, ice fishing or open water fishing, and try that. It might work. I mean, there's an experiment.
Anyways, I'm sure there are going to be many studies in the future on this subject. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Keep an eye on it. This was on the news on fishingcanada.com, the current news, as we speak.
As we speak, yep.
Yeah.
As we speak. By the way, one more quick point. It's been somewhere governed in the States, an aquatic government company says that fizzing is more dangerous than release devices. Release
Aquatic
devices,
government company.
whatever.
Explain
It's
that.
I can't remember the name of it. I got it on my desk over there. I can
Go get it.
No, I'm not leaving the show.
Oh.
AO something. Anyways, I just look at it.
This is a government agency that deals with aqua things.
They're saying that these release devices are much safer than fizzing a fish.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm not even a scientist.
Is that because of infection, or
they just said it's more effective?
Yeah.
And it just works better. So
personally, I think it's because you should leave poking anything alive with needles to people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I've always said that.
They talked about bubbles in the skin too. They're talking about that even in there. So you can't get those out with it, but maybe they can release as you drop them down. Maybe, I don't know. So
all I know is we should not be playing around with needles and fish. End of story. I tried it once, and it traumatized me and the fish.
I thought you meant you tried it in yourself. I thought you said you needled yourself there a little bit.
Never did that.
Back in the day?
As an adult.
No? Going to a Led Zeppelin concert or anything? Hitting her up pretty good?
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. What is the conclusion? Well, you're going to have to read it. It's fishingcanada.com in the news section, and the story is called A New Catch and Release Study.
There you go.
Go check it out.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
All right, fan question of the week. Now, this is current.
Yep.
This is not a
This is 2024.
compilation of
2024 right now.
2024.
As
All
we
right.
speak.
Andrew Williams from Ontario via email. Thank you, Andrew, for reaching out to us. And if you have a question to ask, don't be shy. Don't think that there's no dumb questions. There's a lot of dumb answers given here, but there's no dumb questions.
You always say I ask dumb questions, though. Why do you always say? How come they have no dumb questions, but mine are all dumb?
You're just full of dumb questions.
Me no dumb. You dumb. What movie was that? What movie? Me no dumb. You dumb.
Have no idea.
The Night at the Museum. Great
There
scene.
you go.
There you go.
Where was I?
Reach
Reach out to us and send us questions via email at info@fishingcanada.com. They can also do it in other ways, right, Dean?
Yep, on Instagram, on YouTube, on wherever else you can
reach us.
Yeah, you can find us.
All right. You seem like you're in a hurry today.
I thought you were in a hurry, actually. We're only 20 minutes in and we're halfway done the show.
Are you going
Let's get her done, boys. We got to go somewhere.
You got someplace to go today that I'm not aware of?
I was going to ask you that earlier. We're flying here.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to keep pace. Pace is important.
Yep.
Pace is important. So I'm just trying to pace it so the fine folks listening to this can get a sense of movement. Sometimes we get stuck in the quagmire in this show, and we just sit there.
Hi, Quagmire.
I wish I had that on the board.
Oh my God,
I need to get
Quagmire!
that.
You got to get Quagmire on the board.
Okay? And we just sit there and spin and
doesn't even know what
spin
we're
and spin and spin. And the good people out there listening, they deserve better.
All right. Question of the podcast, we'll call it. The hotspot of the week provides the GPS on the Fishing Canada television. The hotspot of the week provides GPS coordinates for your TV viewers. Do you receive any negative feedback or comments on providing? Please discuss your thoughts on this topic in general. Thank you.
Andrew, thank you very much for asking
question.
that. That's a great outstanding. Might be the question of the year. Can we do a question of the year?
There's going to be a lot after this one, so
Can we enter that? Oh no, this would be
this is in 2024, so he's got a full year ahead of him.
So this, Andrew, stay tuned, buddy, because that might be the question of the year for the 25 New Year's show.
Great question, Andrew. I mean, we thought about this before we even did it, created it, and we still think about it all the time.
So the answer is yes, and yes, but not from you. Not from the audience.
No, the audience
I don't
loves
think
this.
we have ever received a negative comment from the audience.
I don't think so.
Not that I can remember.
So right now they're all thinking, well, if it's not from the audience, who the hell would it be from? That's what they're thinking right now.
So we've received, not anymore. Not anymore because nobody left. Let's be honest about it.
And the segment's been on for like 20 years. So.
Exactly. But yeah, we used to get a lot from the industry, actually. Mostly from the television people, our peers, because they felt that we were being irresponsible in letting folks know where they could go to catch fish. And, a part of that comment makes sense. When you really think about it, it makes sense. And maybe 20 years ago, maybe that made a lot more sense than it does today, because at the time that we first initiated hotspots, not as many folks were as conservation minded as they are today. I think today it's almost 100%. I mean, there's very few. Yeah, there's an element out there that still doesn't quite grasp the whole notion of conservation when it comes to wildlife, but most people do. So today we feel very comfortable telling you where we're catching fish, because we know that for the most part, people are going to take responsibility of that. But 20 years ago, maybe that was not the case. So we took a lot of heat initially from our peers, saying that how dare we let people in on these secrets.
See, a lot of our peers don't even tell what lake they're on.
No.
Back in the day, they didn't tell you anything. We give you a getting there to our place of our lodging, or we give a getting there to a boat launch, and we give a hotspot on our show because we know that's what people want. Now, let me tell you something about this hotspot on each show. So what we do is, you got to remember, we got to eat at least a full day on a lake, or if not a full day, then we have 2 or 3 days on a lake. So if there was a boulder on the bottom of the lake and it held 3 fish, and it was one single boulder, we're not going to give that as a hot spot.
It's not.
Because it's just, and it would be pounded by, if 2 or 3 people hit it and somebody wanted to keep those fish, then it's done. What we do is we take the best numbers of fish area. We take an area, a flat or something like that. We know that everybody can go and enjoy catching a couple walleye on, or something like that, or a big weed bed or something that's very sizable, so that it will handle some pressure. We don't want this one rock to be pressured over. So we take a spot that we say, okay, this is our best spot we caught 30 walleye in this spot. This is a great area. Let's just give a general point here, and people can go and work at it. And then they use the waypoint to their advantage, and then they start working on that too. So that's what we do. We're
hoping, and I know that this is the case, having talked to so many folks that use our hotspots, we're hoping that these hotspots actually, as opposed to just bringing you to that one single area to catch fish, we're hoping that it kind of becomes the key that unlocks your ability to find fish. Because the idea is you go there, you catch a fish or two, but more importantly, you look and see what it is that is attracting these fish. And then you take that information and you replicate it on your own home lake or other bodies of water. You use it as a key every time you go fishing. And we're hoping that the hundreds of hotspots that we have available on .com right now, fishingcanada.com, will do exactly that. Help you figure it out. It's just, it's a key. It's designed to be a key to catch fish on your body of water, any other body of water. Mm-hmm. So, so we took a lot of heat, and we struggled through it initially, and then that heat started
It
subsiding.
wasn't just our peers. There was some tackle companies and stuff like that too, right? That wasn't just the fishing TV guys. It was
the industry. That's what I said.
The industry.
Right?
There was we got heat from a few big tackle companies.
For some reason, the industry does not want. I know this sounds bizarre, but at the time, it's what we were saying to each other. The industry does not want you to catch fish. Is that what we're hearing?
Kind of weird.
Which is kind of bizarre because
pushing people, hey, we're going to give you the spot. You got to go buy their stuff to catch the fish with it. You know, you'd think it would work that way, but it didn't seem to.
It didn't seem to work that way. We couldn't figure it out. The industry relies on you to go out fishing, and the more you go out fishing, the more you need products. You know, this garment has been sitting on the screen here since we started this segment. These folks get it. Garmin is probably one of the best companies in the business, always has been. On their notion is the more people understand fishing, the more they get into fishing by catching fish, the bigger the industry gets. They get it.
That's how it works.
A lot of them don't. So we were confronted with rod and reel companies that were questioning this whole HotSpot thing. And we took a lot of heat for a few years. In fact, I mean, I dare say it's one of the reasons we today really are not affiliated with a lot of the industry players. It's because of hotspots. So to answer your question, Andrew, we took a lot of flack, but we will continue to do it because we believe that the only way that all of us are going to grow this industry is to share in our knowledge, share in our experiences, share these fish with everybody. And we firmly believe in that. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to go away soon. Let's put it that way. Thank you very much for that question.
Awesome question, Andrew.
Can we predetermine it's next year's winner?
I'll take a note for myself. That's a year from now, though.
So. Asterisk on that. Yeah, it's going to be a year from now. We might want to put it in the calendar now.
I'm trying, Andrew. I'm trying to make this the question of the year for next year. But hang in there, buddy. There's an adventure just outside these walls.
It's something you'll hate to leave and can't wait to get back to.
It's a place where memories are made and bonds are forged.
For some, it's hitting the trails. For others, it's a weekend at the lake. It's a place full of campfires and quality time.
This year, take some time to reconnect with friends, family, and nature. No matter what adventures await you, Coleman has the gear you need. Visit colemancanada.ca to gear up today.
The outside is calling.
Answer the call.
As the world gets louder and louder, the lessons of our natural world become harder and harder to hear, but they are still available to those who know where to listen. I'm Jerry Ouellette, and I was honored to serve as Ontario's Minister of Natural Resources. However, my journey into the woods didn't come from politics. Rather, it came from my time in the bush and a mushroom. In 2015, I was introduced to the birch-hungry fungus known as chaga, a tree conch, with centuries of medicinal use by indigenous peoples all over the globe. After nearly a decade of harvest, use, testimonials, and research, my skepticism has faded to obsession, and I now spend my life dedicated to improving the lives of others through natural means. But that's not what the show's about. My pursuit of this strange mushroom and my passion for the outdoors has brought me to the places and around the people that are shaped by our natural world. On Outdoor Journal Radio's Under the Canopy podcast, I'm going to take you along with me to see the places and meet the people that will help you find your outdoor passion and help you live a life close to nature and under the canopy. Find Under the Canopy now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
All right, now we're going to do the main part of the
good
New
stuff
Year
of the
show.
year.
Yep. Yep.
Of the 23 year, right?
We're reviewing our past year.
23.
23.
Yep.
Right.
This-
Andrew's 24, right?
Right.
Right on. I'm a little confused, but that's okay.
A little confused.
I need one of those needles you were talking about earlier. Give me a little shot of adrenaline or something.
All right. The main segment in this year in review is the first thing we're going to look at is the top episodes, or maybe before we do that, maybe we highlight some of the episodes that we remember, the podcast episodes we're talking about from this past year that we really enjoyed or maybe hated or thought were kind of different, if there are any. If not, we'll move right into the...
I'd have to have a list to remember them.
Well, and that's what I told our producer.
I gave you a small list. We have 100 episodes. I can't be listing all those.
That's a lot of paper.
Well,
it's a lot of ink in Monique's machine over there.
Yeah.
She might not like that.
Yeah.
Budget.
But there is that too, the
budget.
budget, the whole budget thing.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just discuss the top 5.
Sure.
Yeah.
How's that?
That sounds good.
I think that's a great idea, Dean.
That's what I have prepared.
And these top 5
Are based on numbers.
are based on what numbers?
Numbers.
Popularity numbers.
So these are the most popular as voted by the audience.
Yep.
Not necessarily us.
Not at all you.
Not at all us.
Zero, buddy. Zero you. Wow. Zero. Zero the hero.
The more I do these, come in and do these shows, the more I feel at home. I'm a nobody at home. I'm a nobody here. It perpetuates itself, right?
The people that did this beautiful, they watched us and listened to us, et cetera, they need you to convey the message back, because otherwise they'd never know about this. So this is where you come in. This is your importance right here.
Is it possible that any of these episodes, are these results tainted in any way at all?
No.
How could they
These
be
are hard
tainted?
numbers.
How could they be tainted? Do you think Dean would taint them? The only way they could be tainted is if Dean did it. You're asking Dean if he
I'm
cheated.
not suggesting he would do anything nefarious. I'm not. Don't go putting words in my mouth. I'm just asking that question. That's all. Before we move on here, I just want to know that this is as pure as it can get.
Yep. It's pure.
Okay. So the number 1 episode.
Yep. Numbers.
The most popular episode, according to you, the audience. And how do we know this, by the way? It's just because you viewed these episodes more than others. More people viewed them. More good things happened to these episodes.
Listen to more than anything, right? I'm assuming
Yeah,
it's
this
more
was
listen
before
to.
video. So
this is before video.
This is pre-YouTube.
Okay.
So this is all listening. This is all podcast-based listening.
All right. Episode number 1. Here we go. Like, do I need a drum roll or anything? Do you have a drum roll?
If I had one, I would use it here.
You don't have one, because that'd be good. Can you imagine when I say, all right, episode number 1, and you
I'll
go...
give you one. I can give you one.
Yeah. I
pretty
actually
cool,
replaced the drum roll with that the good, the bad, the ugly thing. So
you're limited in your...
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see.
Want
See
me
we
to
get
give you
a
a drum
budget.
roll? I can give you one.
Sure. Episode number 1, as picked by the viewers of Outdoor Journal Radio podcast, Walleye Fishing Like a Biologist with Paul Radomski.
That was a good one.
With
Paul does a lot of...
Radomski.
he put a lot of knowledge out there into that one, if you remember correctly.
What do you remember about that episode?
It's stuff that I didn't ever realize was even...
What was the one thing that stood out for you?
That I was stupid because I didn't know that stuff.
The one thing he said that stood out to me, I don't know if you guys remember, but he said that because we always had the opinion that you should keep small fish, and he said that can actually hurt fisheries, that you need to take some big ones. And that was like totally counter to a lot of the stuff we had read. And I think he used some
Still
examples
don't know
in
if I
Minnesota.
believe it or not. Like, it's hard to believe. It's so off the wall, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he said because they cannibalize each other so often that having that many, like having a population of only big ones, which is kind of what happened to Skugog, right?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, so that was
Who
interesting.
knows?
Yeah.
Well, obviously Paul knows.
He wrote a book on it, yeah.
He wrote a book on it. You would think. And by the way, it's a great read if you're looking for a great read and you're into walleye fishing, and it will definitely help your walleye fishing, but more importantly, it'll help you understand it better.
That's the big thing about these guys. They help you just understand, like what Dean said. They're not just, the why of what he said there. You know what I mean? They're cannibalizing and stuff like that. What? Do walleye eat walleye? And how big do these walleye eat walleye? And you learn a whole bunch of stuff, scientific stuff out of it. And some of it you can take in, some of it you can't, or you don't care about, or it's in and out. But some of it you'll retain.
What's the name of the book?
Walleye.
That's it?
Yeah, then the subtitle is like The Beautiful Fish of the Dark.
Wow, how do you remember all this crap?
I have the book and I read it.
Are you insinuating I didn't and I don't?
Yeah, you did.
Dean's quite the reader, eh? Dean, I have to give him props on that one. The man reads a lot, and I'm so opposite of that. I just don't read a lot.
You don't read any, like me.
Read at all.
Anyways, a great episode. You voted it as number 1, episode 53, Walleye Fishing Like a Biologist. And you got to go check it out. If you are saying, how come I didn't? Well, go check it out. Episode 53 of Outdoor Journal. The second most popular episode, according to you, the listening audience, is a bit of a surprise, I think.
Our last podcast, two podcasts ago, you just referred to this fish as the most popular fish in all of Canada now. It's moved into the number 1 position. So,
you know what else is surprising about this one? This episode was not released in 2023. It was released in 22.
Oh, but it just moved up the rankings and all of a sudden in 23.
Yeah, it wasn't released this year. It was never new. But it was consumed the second most out of everything.
Wow, that's cool. So that's the perpetual motion of the good old internet ways that we don't understand.
Episode 22. Finding Summer Walleye was number 2.
Give me a hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Was number 2.
You simple son of a bitch.
That's right. Finding Summer Walleye, number 2, according to the listening audience.
Can you go back to the picture we just had? These are 2 summer walleye, I believe. Look at the size of these 2 fish. I just noticed. That was a Hawk Lake Lodge right in the middle, in the summertime Hawk Lake Lodge. That was Lake Temiskaming right in the middle of the summer. Both those fish are summer walleyes.
Did we catch them in a school? Were they schooling fish? Because it looks like we're in a school or something.
You're in a laboratory.
It's a laboratory.
Oh, it's a lab.
Laboratory. A laboratory.
It looks like they're schooling fish then. Oh, there you go. So this was these images are stunning, by the way.
Thank you.
And the fish don't look too bad either, But this was one, not even a day. This was one, it wasn't even an afternoon. It was from about 10:30 to...
Middle of the day, middle of the summer.
Middle of the summer. But
against every odd you get, right?
Every odd. So before we tell you everything about this particular episode and why we produced the Finding Summer Walleye episode, this prompted it because it was such a unique situation. This was on the Fishing Canada show. And it was mid-afternoon, completely windless day. I'm talking flat, like this desktop, not a breath of wind. And we just said middle of the afternoon, not low light conditions by any means. And we caught, I'm going to say, a dozen fish like this.
Yeah,
10 to 12.
Yeah. Because you got to remember, we shoot through the middle of the day mostly because of lighting. We can't shoot like nighttime walleye shows are very difficult to shoot. So we have to go right in the middle of the day. Aside from overhead lighting, it's the best for us too. So we're fishing the summertime straight in the middle of the wall. In the middle
and we
of the day,
learned so much from this episode.
Oh God!
So that's why we thought we would do an actual podcast, episode 22, called "Finding Summer Walleye," and you agreed with us that it was obviously
that could even win 24. Then, because if it keeps rolling along, right, Dean?
Yeah,
you could just knock everything out again.
If you have not listened to it, I really strongly suggest that you take the time and go back and check it out. Episode 22, Finding Summer Walleye, the second most listened to Outdoor Journal radio podcast in history. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Number 3 on the fan most popular list, episode 56, Family and Fishing with Jay Siemens. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was.
Wonder if Big J had any influence on that. I wonder if he told us peeps. You know
that was
I mean?
also the episode, I think, when we made the commitment to go to Uncle Mark's.
Yeah.
That was that
right.
episode.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Have we done an Uncle Mark's episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. When and it's this year.
It's already been
It's in
like a Fishing
23.
Canada episode?
No, a podcast.
Yeah. That was released a few weeks ago.
Okay. All right.
So it hasn't had time to accumulate
No.
the numbers yet.
Just checking.
Right.
Anyways, that was number 3, a great episode. For those of you who are not familiar with Jay Siemens, you need to make that change right away. Great personality, and just has a wealth of video.
Oh my God.
Fish catching video that's just
he's on fire right
spectacular.
now. All the ice is coming up there now, so it's all ice fishing stuff again. He lives way up north in Kenora area, and he's just pumping out, and it's all quality stuff. Like I mean, the everything he does on video is really top notch. So,
Number 4, episode 61, as voted by you, the fans and audience, is Canada Wins the Classic, and who could forget that? Oh my God! Our good friend Gussie, the first Canadian to ever win the Bassmaster Classic.
That was so cool.
It was totally, I won't say unexpected, because those that know him and believe in him knew that eventually he was going to crack it. But it was a surprise, a shock to the majority of the bass anglers in the U.S. because, I mean, there's guys who've been fishing the trail for decades, never winning
won the
it.
Classic,
And here this hotshot Canadian kid goes down there, and in a matter of, 4 or 5 years, gets through it all and wins the holy grail of bass fishing, the Classic. And it was an incredible story.
Perfect scenario for him. He was the favorite going into that tournament. So that was a good, and he pulled it off, and he just barely pulled it off. Like he did a last minute catch, right? That one last fish he caught, and it put him over the edge to get him about, I think it was $300,000 American and the Classic trophy.
Anyways, we had him on the show. It was episode 61, and you folks obviously liked it because it did extremely well. And finally, the 5th most viewed episode last year, episode 85. Wow, you got something happening over there. It's not a drum roll anymore. You got a whole,
it's a whole metal concert now I got going on there.
Episode 85, Can Fish Feel Your Sonar? This arguably was my favorite episode of the year. I think I had a few, but I think this might be
a
at the
good
very
one,
top.
for sure. Yeah, this was a really good, fun one for sure.
We were with good friend Ryan Flero on the show, and we talked about that very subject.
Oh, his ego is going to roll right through the roof now after
He's
he
in the
hears
top
this number
5.
5.
Oh, wow.
He's going to be just unbearable. For
Right
the
behind
next...
Gussie and Jay Siemens.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He's a hero now. Oh, look out. Look out.
Well, I did refer to him as a legend in a recent Fishing Canada script I read.
Yes.
All right, so he'll be thrilled about that.
Yeah.
Can Fish Feel Your Sonar?
It was a good one.
It's a great episode, and I think more and more as we move on, we're going to find that question is going to be asked because of experiences that people are now going through with this high-tech technology that's available to us today. I think although the jury may still be out on a final answer on that, but I think we're going to learn more in 24 and certainly by 25.
Oh, I think so too.
All right. Now, those were the ones that you deemed to be the best. Those are the top 5. But the biggest ODJ story now of 23. Stories as in, how are we depicting
So
this
we broke
category?
most of these because a lot of the stories we cover, we don't break. We just talk about them. So these are either stories that we broke or we had like an exclusive with the person who broke it.
So we normally just steal stuff? Is that what you're saying?
We
pirate stuff and just
we
put it on?
repurpose.
Oh, we repurpose.
Yes.
These were not repurposed.
These were not repurposed, no.
So maybe other people repurposed these.
I'm sure they did, yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking.
And then-
Hopefully, right? There's flattery right there if they do it. So.
And then, so we'll go through these and then you tell us which one stood out most for you, which one you liked the most.
So there's 6 of them here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So these are, according to who, these are the biggest stories?
These were, I pulled from Traction, like how much like sharing and stuff these stories got. So yeah.
All right.
Very good.
So number one story, that biggest ODJ story of the year for 23, number one was Bear Grylls, Man versus Wild, was a fake.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Talk about that one.
Yeah, Les Stroud, come on.
Episode 71 with Les Stroud.
Les Stroud came on, and he just how did he discover that? What was it? He was talking to somebody. How did he?
He said his producer. So he had a producer who worked for him who came to him and said, "Hey, we need more episodes." And he said, "Well, it's impossible the way I do it." And he said, "No, like we're going to pretend to do it."
That's what it was.
And then he said no, and then all of a sudden Man versus Wild popped up with that producer.
Right.
Right.
That's
That's how it came about.
So that's how it came about.
It came about.
So
Les just said, "No, I'm sticking to my guns. I do the way I do it. I go out there by myself, and I put some cameras around, and that's the way it is. No fake."
I might insert that clip right here, actually.
Yeah.
So
you should.
Yeah, it's probably
a
a
great idea.
really good idea.
Very good idea.
You've mentioned a couple of times now, and we can't just gloss over it and walk away from it. I have to ask you, you mentioned the copycat shows a couple of times. Obviously, there's some resentment there. Talk to us about that. Why do you think that somebody else looking at what you're doing and saying, hey, you know what? That Les is doing a really good job, but I think there's a better way to do it. Why do you resent that so much? Or am I wrong in that too?
No, it's not resentment, but you need the history. You need the proper history of it, because that's not what anybody said.
Okay.
What started was, this guy's got a hit show and we smell money. That's the way it started. How did it start? It started with Jane Root and Jeff Hasler of the Discovery Channel, the heads of the network, whining and dining me for a year, asking me to do what? Give them more episodes, 26 episodes a season.
Of course.
I can't do that, guys. I would kill myself doing that. Les, you don't need to do it for real. Just stay in the hotels, have a crew build your shelter for a year. Wine and dine. I said no.
I love it.
So they wanted me to cheat the show.
Right.
And I said, I'm not going to cheat the show. And eventually they said, okay, screw him, call Bear Grylls. And then the thing is, what people forget is for 2 years, they did try to portray Bear as actually doing it, and he was not. Later, it was like all these disclaimers. Oh, no, we didn't really no, we always had a crew, these things, because it was a bullshit. Because in the beginning, they absolutely tried to make it look like he was absolutely doing it, to the point where he at one point was being filmed by a guy with a shoulder mount camera, and he holds the lens like, oh, I'm walking through the bush now.
I love it.
It was all stage. He never drank his own pee. He drank apple juice. He didn't eat a rattlesnake in Belize. It was Kentucky Fried Chicken for real. I know all the producers. I know the behind the scenes. So when you hear that thing in me, it's not resentment. It's more a matter of, they sullied and ruined what came from a place of purity of loving survival skills and loving filmmaking. And other than that, I mean, hey, you know what? He's an amazing athlete. He's great for the kids and adventuring. Godspeed to him that way. But the first 2 years of everything he did and were total lies. And here's the catch for him. He can't actually ever let up that lie. He has to live that out, because he never did come out and say. So even to his own son, Marmaduke, who's going to be 22 one day and go, Dad, why is this all this bad crap about you on being a fake? He's going to have to lie to Marmaduke, his own son, and say, otherwise, it's like, no, I was a fraud for 2 years. Yeah. And then I had my own show running with Bear Grylls, and where, now the crew's a big part of it. Oh, me mates in the crew, we go through so much. Last thing I'll leave on this, to slam him home a little bit more, is to say that, in Australia, he does this big thing in the stadium, and he's eating maggots for the audience. It's just stupid. And a kid asks him, what's it like to sleep in a sheeping bag, because he slept inside a sheep? You watch him answer, or watch him answer David Letterman. He doesn't answer. He's a perfect politician. Why not? Because he didn't actually do it. He shot a scene and then went back to the hotel. So he doesn't answer this 12-year-old boy, honestly, because he can't. He'd have to say, well, what's it like? I don't really know. It was a half an hour scene, sort of thing. Now, all the shows after that, let me finish by this. All the shows after that, staged, faked setup. Man versus Wild, Man dual survival, Man, Woman, Wild, naked and afraid, except for, and I know the people on Alone who might see this are going to go, oh, you're going to say, Alone, the people on Alone misinterpret because unfortunately I lumped them with naked and afraid, and I apologize for that. I didn't mean to. People on Alone are truly going through it. Uh-oh. They are.
Wow.
Got a bad connection here. That's unfortunately right in the meat of the show. Any idea, Dino?
My back. I'm back.
Yeah, it sounds like you're back, buddy.
Okay. I was catching up. I was saying that on Alone, the problem I have with Alone is not the people. They're excellent people, really going through it, really doing it. It's that the producers take it all back to Los Angeles or LA, wherever they are, and then they concoct stories and they omit beautiful scenes, or they omit.
Right.
They want them to look like they're suffering more. Now, you ask the people that say, oh, it was such a wonderful opportunity. In some cases, I could criticize and say it's because now their survival classes are filled. I was on Alone. Come and take my survival class. But kudos to the head instructor for Alone told me that boot camp consists of them watching Survivor Man for a week.
Perfect.
I love it.
Pat the back. Right.
So, the way you position the question, I'll close in saying this. Resentment, no. Now, very proud. Look, the braggadocio side of this is I can say Survivor Man spearheaded an entire survival genre industry.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that. But will there ever be like a peace made between me and Bear? Why? He's an actor.
Right.
He's not even a survival guy. He used to walk around that set going, I hate this survival shit. I loved the survival shit.
Total different story. I love it.
How's that answer for you? We can go. Give me a beer and we'll talk for the next 2 hours.
That sounds like it.
Fantastic. All right.
Which was quite stunning, by the way. When we heard it, I was like, what? No way. Good for you, right? So, anyways.
Number 2.
Numero 2.
Biggest ODJ story of 2023. Number 2 was Gussie wins the Classic. Yes.
As we just discussed. Absolutely. Got to be a big story.
That's episode 61. There he is right there. Hello, Gussie. Number 3, this one was a shock more than anything else, and that's probably why it was so popular. Grass carp found in Bay of Quinte.
Yeah, that got you and I for sure on that one.
Episode 76.
75.
75. Well, I was just anticipating it.
Maybe it's a 2-part episode.
A 2-parter. Sometimes we do 2-parters.
Every now and then.
Every now and then. Grass carp found in Bay of Quinte, because we had been talking for a year prior to that.
My God, a lot, right?
That we need to be vigilant. We need to make sure they don't get past the locked door into Canada. And boy, all of a sudden, boom, that ship had sailed when they found this. Episode 75. Number 4, biggest stories of 23.
This is a good one.
This one, you
brought this all on.
I discovered this and I was shocked. And then as it turns out, I was wrong. So episode 4 is a treble hook is a single hook. Little confusing.
Like what the hell does that mean, Angelo?
That was episode 84. So what happened, I was on the internet checking out some fishing stuff, and this guy was standing in front of a tree that had a sign on it right here somewhere. And that sign said, no fishing except. And it was an Ontario-based no fishing sign. This was a sanctuary. But you could fish it if you met certain criteria. And the top criteria was single barbless hooks only. And this guy standing under the tree, the video starts, and the guy standing under the tree, saying that when you see signs like this,
he's a guide too, right?
He's a professional guide. He's teaching a young lady on the do's and don'ts of fishing in waters that have restrictions on them. So the first thing he said is, now, I want to dispel something. A lot of people think that a single barbless hook is just what it sounds. But in fact, and he picked up one of those MEP spinners.
That right there.
That has a treble hook on it, one of those hooks. And he says, in fact, he took out a pair of pliers and he pinched back all of the barbs on that treble hook. And he says, in fact, this qualifies as a single barbless hook. And I was in shock. I'm thinking, holy mackerel, this is going to go viral. I mean, let's be honest about it. He's trying to teach somebody the do's and don'ts of regulated fishing. And right off the bat, point number one, he screws the whole thing up by saying a treble hook is a single hook.
You were ready to crucify him right there, weren't you? That was it. You're up. You're done, buddy.
I told Pete about it. I said, we got to do something. And we talked with Dean, and we said, well, yeah, we got to do something about this. So we were just going to write a big story on it and do an expose of some kind. But before we did that, we thought we'd better check with Ministry of Natural Resources just to make sure. And maybe we better make them aware of the fact that this video is up on the internet, misleading all of you folks. So we did. And they said, yeah, he's correct.
That's right.
He's right. What do you mean he's right? That's not a single hook. It's a treble hook. No. In this jurisdiction, in the province of Ontario, by the way, the only province in the country that has this still in the books, a treble hook is considered a hook. The fact that it has 3 leading edges apparently doesn't matter. It's a single hook. So in the province of Ontario, yes, a treble hook is considered a single hook. So wherever they say a single barbless hook only, get the old treble out, stick it on there. And according to if you read the actual ruling on that, even if it had 5 points, 5 leading edges, it's still a single hook. The only jurisdiction in the country that still considers a treble hook a single hook. The rest of the nation, their single hook is what it should be.
A single point on a hook. That's it. One hook.
Anyways, that was episode.
So that picture right there. You squeeze the barbs, and those who are watching YouTube, you squeeze those 3 barbs. That's a single hook, right?
How many baits have we transformed?
Oh my God!
And took those off.
Those are classic examples. There's probably topwaters or rattle baits or something like that. Take that off. We'll put a single siwash on there. 1 hook siwash. I can't call it a single, I guess. You call it this one thing with 1 hook on 1 barb, and you squeeze that barb, and now you got 1 point. And there, we're good, Ange. Now we're going fishing.
Meanwhile,
we screwed up. We lost so many fish because of that. What a bunch of dummies.
Well, no, we weren't dummies.
No,
the dummies right now, and I hate to say this because I don't like jumping on any government agency, but M&R in the province of Ontario, somebody has to change that. Yeah. You can't be proud of that, as our good friend Jimmy would say. You can't be proud of that. You got to change that ruling. A single hook is a single hook, and there's a reason why jurisdictions want you to go to a single hook in those restricted areas, because it facilitates a much smoother release. It's 1 point, doesn't have a barb on it. You just flip it over and the fish falls off. Well, when you have one of those babies that's on the screen, barbless or not, there's more than 1 point that's caught generally in the fish's face and or mouth. And it just makes it very difficult to release that fish. So please change it. Somebody has to have a head there and say, hey guys, he's right. Let's just change this.
Does that got to go right to the top dog? Does that have to go to the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry to
Unfortunately not. You know, here's something else too, and I know we're getting off topic here, but I just wanted to dispel something right away. Right away. Because we've been involved in trying to get things changed at the highest levels of government. Things that we think are just simple. Well, like the one that we just talked about, this treble hook. I mean, that's a no-brainer. First of all, you're the only jurisdiction left probably in North America that considers that right there a single hook. So that in itself should be a no-brainer. But if you're going to single hooks because you want to protect wildlife, well, come on, get with the program. So that would be a no-brainer. So you would think that the change should be, boom, instant. Yeah. You go to your politician, local politician, and start the ball rolling, and then he or she should be able to. I mean, to me, it should be as simple as picking up the phone, calling the top level bureaucrat at M&R and saying, "Hey, Bill or Mary, I think this is an oversight that we need to get corrected because it doesn't make any sense. So why don't we just get your people together there in a room and get it fixed up?" You would think like in a week, done.
Easy peasy.
It will take years. I guarantee you, it will take years to get that rectified.
If they want to do it. They might not even want to do it.
If they want to do it. Because what happens is the politician generally leads the charge, because the politician, see, here's the deal, just so that we all understand it. The politician needs you to vote for him in order for him to have a job. So when the politician gets pressure from you, he gets right to the top of the hill and waves the flag for you, because he knows that if he gets this done, whether he or she agrees with you or not, it's a matter of votes. That's how they keep their job. So they'll go to bat for you right away. But unfortunately, the people who actually make those changes, who actually have the power to change something like as silly as that not being a single hook, they're bureaucrats. And you have no say on their job whatsoever. And so what happens is that they lock horns. You got the politician, and as soon as by the way, bureaucrats and politicians, they don't get along too good. It's like cats and dogs. So if a bureaucrat presents a scenario like, "Hey guys, like, what are you thinking here? That's not a single hook," automatically the bureaucrat locks in that mode and says, "Oh yeah, I'll show you what I know about treble hooks," and then it makes it worse. So that's what we're faced when we that carp rod ruling that we championed for years. It took us 5-6 years to get that through. Something that was a no-brainer, like it was an absolute no-brainer, took 6 years.
And the minister was on your side for that, right?
Well,
Totally on our side for it. Still took that long.
So that says a lot.
But he's a politician.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. The unfortunate part is that the bureaucrats make all of those decisions. All the politician can do is point it out to them and suggest. And here's the thinking, and I listen, if you're out there and you're one of these bureaucrats I'm talking about, please let me know that I'm wrong. All right? If I'm wrong in this, you let us know, and we'll put it on the show. Okay? But the bureaucrats are not dependent on the politician for their job. In fact, the politician cannot remove them from their position. Does not have the power to.
Interesting.
So therein lies our system. It has a fault.
Yeah.
Right? The politician, he wants your vote, so he's going to do everything he can to make sure that you say, "Hey, it was that good, friendly politician of mine that got this thing through." Mm-hmm. But anyways, that's way too long on number 4. Number 5.
Small baits for big muskie.
Yes.
Episode 54 by Gordy Pizer, with Gordy Pizer. I shouldn't say by Gordy Pizer. Yeah. With Gordy, where Gordy opened our eyes up. We went on a trip. Him and Liam went on a trip. Eagle Lake, I think it was.
Yes.
And they were playing around with their usual muskie, giant baits and all that. And then he talked to a couple of European anglers that were there. And they were, and Gordon and Liam were having a hard time. I believe they said they were having a hard time getting fish. And the European guys, "Oh my God, we had a great day. We got muskie, we got pike, we got everything." And Gordon says, "What are you doing?" And he showed him these little wee half or a third size of the baits that normally are used by muskie anglers. And Gordon says, "No way. Are you kidding me?" And then that was it right there. The wheels started turning for Gordy right then and there.
Two things: size and the action.
And action. They were going erratic and crazy and nuts on it versus just a steady, you know what I mean? So
and what Gord pointed out was really cool. That's episode 54, by the way. You got regardless of whether you're into muskie or not, you got to go to that episode if you have not already done so. What Gord said was really interesting, because he said these guys were imparting erratic action to their baits the whole time. They would throw it out, and then they would start doing all kinds of wacky stuff and catching fish. And he said, And yet we're astounded when we do the figure 8 at a boat. So the muskie generally will follow you to the boat. When you're retrieving that bait in a straight line, like we all have been forever, they'll follow you to the boat. And then we're told that if you do an erratic figure 8 at the side of the boat on the end of every cast, chances are you're going to catch a fish. Well, then, okay, if that's the case, why not do erratic the whole time that it's out in the water?
Figure 8 that bait back all the way.
and that's what was amazing about this discovery. So it's a great episode.
It is good. Very eye-opening.
Episode 54. Number 6 on our list of biggest ODJ stories of 2023.
Moving muskie are not feeding muskie.
Wow.
Episode 67 by Dr. Corey Susky. We just talked about that on a podcast the other day too, about moving walleye when they're all migrating and moving and hanging on the bottom, and you can't get them go sometimes. You know what I mean? So maybe it's a migration thing on that. I can't remember. What did he say? There was something about it. There was a point in there about why they were moving.
He said that big muskie won't travel far to eat. So essentially, the ones that you are catching, you put it like right on their head. But they're not out cruising to eat. They're normally hidden.
Ambush.
Yeah, exactly.
Ambush predators, which I think, and I might have mentioned it in that podcast, which is kind of crazy because there's the odd fish that can't. Because I was on Eagle Lake one time, neither of you guys were there, nor Vova. It was an early shoot, and the head guide there said that a female muskie that they had tagged, traveled something like 18 kilometers one way a day to feed.
Wow.
It went there to feed and then came back.
Wow.
Every day. How freaky is that?
See, my first thing to
maybe it's an anomaly, right? That might be just a weird fish, whatever.
I'm not doubting any of this, but my biggest question would be, why would the fish move from prime feeding areas? Why do you want to live 18 miles away? It's not like you got to buy that house and you have no option because it's the only one you could afford. And yet, the fish could literally sit right next to the feeding areas.
Absolutely.
I think.
You'd think so. I would think so. But that fish decided that its home territory was different than its feeding territory. And it's built up
Do you think maybe they
get
pushed out and stuff like you see like in Africa with lions and stuff like that? Like maybe they get pushed out. Is anything like that?
Could be. Maybe there's a hierarchy with muskies, like a big predator species like that, maybe. Something that not too many people are obviously talking about. It happens in smaller, like in largemouth bass, for sure. It happens with smallmouth bass. It happens for sure. Mm-hmm. You get a group of 5 and 6 pounders, and there's no 3 pounders in that group, right? Yeah. They just get out. Either they're afraid of them, or they're not letting them in. Who knows? So that could be it. Maybe with muskies, it might be, more of a single fish thing. Maybe one 50-pounder says nobody else is coming around my feeding area or living in my feeding area. You can come in here and snap one off and steal one, maybe, but
okay, all right.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm just
there's also the other thing we know from studies that muskie do have several feeding areas, a milk run, if you will.
Yep.
And so they will move from number 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 feeding areas over the course of a day. Mm-hmm. So that would make sense too, because by the time they're finished their milk run, in this particular case, he or she is 18 kilometers away from that start of the milk run. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that makes sense too.
He said that was a she, by the way. That fish he did say was a she. Not that it really matters.
Anyways, fascinating, gentleman, Dr. Corey Susky, episode 67. Moving muskie or not feeding. If you're into muskie fishing, you have got to go and check that one out.
So those were our top 6 stories of 2023, right?
Yeah. Now, the biggest trends in fishing.
Do you have a favorite? Dean wanted to see if you had a favorite in that.
Am I going too fast for you guys?
No. He just said he mentioned at the top of this part of the segment that I wonder if you guys would have a favorite. So
I do.
I don't want you to
treble
ignore
hook
him.
thing was mine for sure.
Which one?
The treble hook one. That was crazy to me. I've been not using maps. I remember somebody I went to the river with one time pulled out a crankbait, and I was like, no, you cannot fish that. You got to take those hooks off.
Yep.
He was right. I was wrong.
He was right, and you were wrong.
Yeah. So, that's pretty crazy.
I've seen the point where you remember how the maps used to be so hard to take the treble off?
Oh,
I just break the 2 hooks off. You keep a single.
How many have we cut off?
Literally.
Ruined them.
My favorite, for sure, without a doubt, the story, just as a story, was Gussie winning the Classic. I think as a Canadian, to finally win, it's like Canada-Russia hockey back in the day. It's like, to me, I watched that whole event, and when Gussie got that last fish, I was just on my feet, and I was just, so to me, that story is the epitome of them all for me.
I was shocked when Les said all those disparaging comments about Bear.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I, as it was unfolding, I'm thinking, wow, like, is this guy giving any thought to what he's saying here?
And the best part about that was I don't think you asked him.
No.
He wanted to
it.
come say it.
Yeah.
He wanted to say
He
it.
didn't like what was going on out there.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think what I prompted him with was a lot of people think that what you do is not real. Yeah. And that's what prompted him to say, well, you want to see not real? I'll tell you what's not real.
Yeah.
They wanted me to be not real. Yeah.
Anyways, this is a fascinating interview. If you haven't seen it, episode 71 with Les Stroud was great. So I'm not. You're with Gussie Wins the Classic, episode 61, and you are episode 84, a treble hook is a single hook.
Yeah.
Good. There you go.
All different.
Biggest trends in the fishing industry for 2023. Man, God, there's been a ton of them. But so what we've taken here is what, Dean, the top, do we know even?
These are just
top
some
three.
of the, top three.
Top three biggest trends in the fishing industry. And I'll just quickly list them off and we'll talk about them. It was back in April of 23 that a story broke and it went throughout the fishing industry. And that was the possible banning of forward-facing sonar in tournaments. Banning. And at that time, we were just high-fiving ourselves with this wonderful technology and how,
this is the best thing
fortunate we were to have it and how it was going to become the trend and the only way to fish in the future. And then all of a sudden this story breaks that a muskie tournament in the U.S. was looking at banning forward-facing sonar because they deemed it to be
unfair to whatever. I mean, to whomever, to the fish, to the people, to the competitors. Who knows, right?
Yep.
But wow.
Anyways, that was huge.
That was it still is huge.
It seems to be all over the news now. Like people talk
that's all
about
it is.
Because there's some pro anglers. Pete, who's the older guy, the old tournament angler, he's like super against it. He posts every day.
Oh, Randy Blaukat?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's
my God.
huge. He's really trying to get it.
So here's a good one for you boys. It's a personal story. Again, I'm going to bring my buddy Mikey Burris into it. So Mike was watching, Randy Blaukat has a YouTube channel, and I used to watch him. He's got he didn't put any effort into the set. He's not like this beautiful look we got, whatever. But so, long story, he started getting into a whiny mode more than he did a teaching mode. Like he's doing that, and this forward-facing sonar thing, as Dean said. So he's even heard about it. So Mike was watching, just inadvertently got onto him, and he started watching him one night, and he was doing his rant and rave about forward-facing sonar, and Mike's wife, just walking by, inadvertently heard him. And he goes, "Who's that whiny son of a bitch talking on there?" She picked it up. She didn't even know what was going on because he was whining and complaining so much. So,
and what's he whining and complaining about?
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Yeah, it's just not fair. I haven't listened to him since that, before that even. But apparently he's gotten this big. I don't know if it's not fair to the fish, if it's not fair to the competitors, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, anyways, he's just got this big thing about how unfair it is. It's not. It should be banned.
In my opinion, this should have nothing to do with fair, not fair, or anything else. However, what we talked about earlier on in the program regarding crappie fishing and using forward-facing sonar, and the study that's being conducted that if they caught fish beyond a certain depth, then it became impossible to release it back. I think that's where we need to kind of keep an eye on things.
It's up to the angler. You have to have some responsibility.
There's some, ethics involved, right? If you're an ethical angler, then you police and monitor that technology yourself. Mm-hmm. Because this technology will allow you to fish that you didn't even know existed. So you have to be ethical about it. If there is a school of fish in 40 feet of water, you can't go smack on them. I mean, you just can't. Ethically, we know as anglers that barotrauma is a major killer of fish. And therefore, we have a pretty good idea of what those depths are. In my opinion, no fish should be caught beyond 30 feet, period. If we have a self-imposed rule, but now we're finding out that maybe 28 feet might be as well. So we're going to refine, we're going to fine tune that, but at a certain point, as responsible, ethical anglers, we need to say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I've got all this wonderful technology, and yes, it's going to show me all of this wonderful stuff I never knew existed, but I'm going to use it where it's safe to release those fish. I think that's what it's going to have to come down to.
I got a question for you two guys. So if, I think I know your answers. Let's say you could go out to Walmart and buy a nice little live scope kit for $200. The whole deal for $200 instead of the price that it is right now, because it's expensive. Yeah. Do you think it'd be a lot more popular?
I think
all these
every
whiners,
single boat.
Every boat would have it. Everybody that's whining and bitching about it right now would have it on their boat, I think.
What are you saying?
I'm just because it's unaffordable, it's unattainable to a lot of people. I can't afford that.
Well, no, your example you brought up, that pro angler guy that's bitching and complaining, he can afford it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, he can afford it.
Right? But he can't compete. Because how old is he, Pete? He's not a tournament angler anymore.
I don't know how old he is.
What are you saying, that age has something to do with competing?
No, but I'm saying
that's what I heard.
Here we go.
Did you hear that?
Well, it's
is that what he said?
You can't compete.
No, I mean, if he's been out of the game for a while and he's not adapting to the tech, then he's behind. And of course you'd be mad that you're behind all these guys who know what they're doing. I think that's the impression I get. That the people who don't want to adapt are just saying, you know what, it's not fair.
Don't want to adapt. Speaking of which, I'll go a little bit more into this wormhole right now. The average age of elite, let's say, anglers is just going on the graph. It's going way down. Yeah. It's in the early 30s, I think now, where it used to be like the Rick Cluns and all that. The older you were, the better you were. Not anymore, man. The old boys are getting their arses kicked. It's unreal how that trend is going. I saw a couple of graphs on it.
Of this.
It's huge. Young guys are onto that. Yeah.
That's all.
So the old guys like us have to get onto it. If we want to stay and compete,
but we don't have, there is such a difference between us trying to embrace and adapt to this versus a kid who was nursed on this stuff. He was suckling breast milk with this stuff in it already. Right? So they have an advantage. Let's be honest about it. They have an advantage because to them, there is no learning process for them. They can get on one of these screens and just start pushing the stuff and they just inherently understand it. We don't. We have to break that barrier first and grasp the concept.
Which is kind of fun, though. I like learning.
I liked it too, but you have to understand it's a disadvantage for sure. Yeah. So that's why I can see that. And listen, fishing today, tournament fishing today, is all about this. If you're not onto this, you're not even you're not even relevant in the fishing game. So that's why the age group is dropping, because they don't just understand it. They don't just understand it. It's in their DNA. Right?
I don't 100% agree with your statement, though, because there's a lot of still those, when they get those tournaments in the U.S. that are in that shallow brush and all that stuff, they don't even have their electronics on. And there are tournaments that are still one with that. Okeechobee, under the
So what is it then? Why is the
that.
age dropping?
Well, on the average, I don't know. But I'm just saying, when it comes to the forward facing, there are still a lot of tournaments won without that.
I think it's got to be true that if you're younger, you can afford not to be on the road all the time. You don't have a family. You don't have a whole lot of responsibility. Because you have to just be on the road.
Time-wise, you can, but you don't monetarily. You might not.
You can't afford it.
Right.
So, so in your opinion, why is that age dropping? Why is it more difficult for?
Well, it
older
might
guys?
be. I'm just saying. You just said you can't compete.
You can't.
But as per event, you can.
Over the course
Certain
of a
events,
year.
Over the course of a year, an angler of the year, you can't compete. Probably,
can't.
you're right. But you can still win an event without doing that stuff. Shallow water stuff. You still can do that. So as a out of 9 events, you can win 1 or 2. Yeah,
it's minor.
It's a number. Yeah,
yeah. It's minor, and that's why the age group is dropping. It's not because they can cast better, or they can set a hook better, or they can decide on what lure to pick better, or they can. In fact, I'd say all of those things. A young kid is at a disadvantage because he doesn't have the experience.
Yeah, physically they're better off. Like a 23-year-old against Rick Clunn. I think physicality is going to mean it's going to be something there too.
Being able to endure the whole
the big
tournament.
waves, the whole whatever, like all that kind of. There's all kinds of factors. But anyways, it's just
interesting.
We got down that wormhole a little bit.
No, I think it's all about this personally. Mm-hmm. But anyways, we won't go any farther. What do you think? Let us know. What do you think? That's probably a good question to ask right now.
Would you like to have, if you're watching YouTube, would you like to have that on your screen right now, on your fish finder screen? Because I tell you, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Even just watching it. Angela and I we don't catch, like we always say on the show, we don't catch one small percentage of them, but that is so cool watching that, seeing that tree, seeing those fish relate to that tree, seeing the bait over here, that little, it's so much fun.
What I get off on is when they decide to feed. That to me is such a magic moment.
You're watching it on TV.
Watching a scene where you got a ball of, a bait that's just, and you can see the bait is kind of relaxed. It's kind of, doing its own thing. It's meandering around, staying tight, but you can see that there's no real threat. They look comfortable. And down below are a school of predator fish that are doing the same thing. They just kind of meandering around. They're not really doing anything. They're kind of just, hanging in there. And the whole environment is nice and comfortable for everybody. And we're watching this just like we're watching a movie.
National Geographic. It's like you're watching National Geo.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, something happens. Something. Now, we can't see all the tiny little details, but it might be as simple as one of those bait fish falls out of the pattern somehow, a different movement than the rest of the school, maybe falls out of the ball, and we can't see one falling out of the ball, but something triggers the predators to say, it's on. And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. This ball of bait looks like a July fireworks. It's insane what happens.
It's a good explanation. That's a good way of describing it.
It's just an explosion on the screen of living organisms just going in all different directions. And just as soon as it happens, it stops. And everything goes back to that nice, relaxed little mode where everybody's chilling and we're okay. And, it's not that much different than the experience you and I had in Africa in that when we were following that pride of lions around as they would it's funny how nature works, right? Because it's almost like they see each other, predator and prey are in close proximity. They know they're there, but for the most part, it's okay. Everything's cool.
Chill.
Everybody's chill. They're just, the gazelles are feeding and grazing and the young ones are frolicking and like everything is just wonderful. Meanwhile, they're surrounded by 9 or 10 or 12 lionesses that are just laying down, having a good time, watching the whole thing unfold. And then all of a sudden, it's nuts.
Dinner bell. The dinner bell rings.
It's like the dinner bell. Well, this technology allows us to see that underwater. And it's phenomenal. Yeah, we spend probably more time now watching this than we do fishing. But we learn so much from it. And I think
it's a huge learning tool. That's what I love most about LiveScope is that the learning tool.
Oh, and we got years ahead. I'm making a prediction. Well, I won't do it now. I'll do it before we sign off today. Biggest trends in fishing for 23. We just talked about forward facing sonar possibly being banned, which it didn't, thank God. Number 2 on the list, Peter, was interesting.
Yeah, moping. So it's going back to Gussie's win in the Classic. up in, especially the Kenora, Lake of the Woods, more than anywhere, there's a technique, it's called moping, that the tournament anglers have been doing forever for smallmouth bass, and that is basically just dropping a jig straight in front of a smallmouth's face and just waiting for him to bite. So just drop it right down in 30 feet of water. He's down 8 feet. You drop it down 7 feet, put it right over his head, and just hold that thing there and just mop it or mope it right in front of his head. They call it damiki rigging too, and these fish are hitting it, and it's been. They tried to keep it a secret as long as they could. The Lindners were in on it. There was some locals up there that were on it, including Gussie, obviously, and it's won them a lot of money and a lot. But when it broke up there, it's like you got to imagine they're using a plastic bait. They're just using the straight plastic on a jig head and dropping it straight down, or casting it out. Now they're casting it out with forward viewing. It's easier. Before they used to do it with the traditional screen. Just drop it straight down on that little mark, and all of a sudden that thing comes up. You lift it up a little more, like ice fishing, and boop. He bites it, and you go, oh my God, there's a 4-pound smallmouth right under the boat, like 6 feet down, 8 feet down.
Is Live Scope responsible for that?
No. This is well before Live Scope. This was all on traditional back in the day. So just like your ice fishing, that's why it was done below the boat back in the day. Now with Live Scope, now you can
do it forward.
Pick them off. Now you go, and what they're doing now is they're casting out to it, and they're reeling it. You just watch your bait come down, and then you're just keeping it above their head and just reeling it past them above their heads. And then, because I know one instance I fished this year where I knew I should have brought the stuff for it. I didn't have it for it. I had suspended smallmouth, and they were following my bait down. They were way up. They were following my bait down to the bottom, but they would not touch. Drop shot, jigs, Ned rigs, tubes, they wouldn't touch it on the bottom. I said, if I'd have done that, dragging across in front above their heads, I bet you would have caught them. I didn't have the stuff with me. So, but it's a great technique. It's kind of unheard of. And it's with a straight plastic, like, you know what I mean? Like a straight fluke style plastic bait on a jig head. Has to be horizontal. It can't be tail heavy. Can't be hanging like that. It has to be horizontal to make it look realistic, but it's a cool technique. It's a really neat technique.
And number 3.
This is a biggie.
Boy, it just seems like 23 was well, no, I shouldn't say that. It happens. It's been happening every year. But 23 did seem like there was more of this going on than ever before, and that is tournament cheating. Those two guys, the walleye cheaters that pled guilty.
Kaminsky was one of the ones. He was one that got in trouble later on, too.
Yeah.
With wildlife, right?
Yeah, with everything. Friggin' counterfeit, shit like that. This guy's, he's one of those dudes. He's one of those dudes.
And there's a lot of cheating going on out there. Don't know what that means.
Do you think it's more than ever or no?
No, you know what I think? And once again, I'll go back to the internet now. I think that the cheaters are exposed at a much faster and more brilliant rate than ever before.
Yeah,
right?
When we fished tournaments, they'd get called out. They'd go up to the stage. They had fish marked. They'd poke the ministry or whoever, and then they got them. But that was it. Like basically, unless it hit the newspaper,
you never heard about it.
You never heard about it. We would hear about it and say, "Hey, assholes, get out of here. We don't want to ever fish with you again or against you again." But that was it. Now, like Anne's just saying, it just wildfire spreads out there, right? Because that story was huge. That was worldwide. Like it was fishing worldwide, walleye fishing sort of thing like that. But unfortunately, it was for a bad reason. So, what's the Northern Ontario Top 50 Classic? Was that that's their story?
That was this year. That was a pike tournament up north, and I don't know. So they're not convicted yet. It's still accusations, ongoing, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Really? I don't remember that story. Well, I don't know why I didn't.
We were on the road when it happened.
Yeah. Okay. So again, just.
Weights and fish, and
really,
yeah,
wow.
I think at some point something's got to give on this whole tournament cheating thing.
Well, you're certainly not going to stop it, right? And I'm going to tell you why you're not.
Yes, you are.
Listen.
Yes, you are.
You
have the tools.
When a guy goes to jail, when a guy gets charged 3 times for drinking and driving, and then he goes home and gets drunk and drives again. You can't cure that guy. These people are...
No, you can.
You got to kill him.
Well, I don't think you need to be that harsh.
Okay, you're putting them in jail.
You're going to lock them up.
Put them in jail forever.
You're going to lock them
You
up. You know
can't
why?
do that.
See, to me,
not room in jails. They're letting criminals out every day because there's no room in jails.
we need to get better at
Exactly.
dealing with criminals.
Exactly.
Then. How's that?
But their feelings. You got to remember now their feelings. You can't do that.
By the way,
This is
do
ridiculous.
you know?
Shoot him, I say.
Did I tell
Hang 'em
you?
high.
Did I tell you that as of this year?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because
you
it
got?
was just announced. Would have been announced about a month ago, or maybe a month and a half ago, that it was going to become law this year. That free tampons will be available.
You told me this
in
yesterday.
men's washrooms across the country.
For nosebleeds? What are they for?
Free tampons will be available in men's washrooms.
Finally. Damn. I've been waiting for that for so long. Finally, the tampons have come back to the men's washroom. Oh my God.
God. I mean, we make light of it, but I know I just bring it up because we just need to deal with things better than we're dealing.
The world is going, buddy. You and I are at the right age right now because we're going to die out of this bullshit. We're not going to.
There's a bunch of
Thank you,
bullshit.
Jim.
But there's going to be pain and suffering between now and then.
Well, yeah, and my boys and Nick and all these guys here are going to suffer through. But you and I, well, we're only on the cusp of it, and we're getting away from it. So,
Anyways, all right, let's move on. I digress.
But I say no, the cheating. I don't think you're ever going to stop it. It's
Yes,
like
you can. You can.
You can't.
First of all, yeah.
You guys, these criminals, Bud, their minds work very different than all the rest of us.
We have it in place. We've had a ruling in place since the advent of tournaments.
Okay, what is it? How are we going to stop?
You got to stop the team tournament concept.
Okay.
You stop that, you stop cheating. You put you and me, who are adversaries and competitors, and my job is to beat you. Your job is to beat me on the same boat.
Right. Okay.
Every day.
I like that.
Zero cheating.
Draw tournament like you used to do.
Zero cheating. Right. I guarantee you it's zero cheating. And they haven't had to spend a nickel in infrastructure to make that happen. At the U.S., for the most part now, not this walleye series, obviously, but bass tournaments, serious bass tournaments. There are no team serious bass tournaments.
No, there are. There's a couple.
Who? Where?
There are some out there.
Serious.
I just
Top
read one.
level.
Yeah, I just read one the other day, a team event that was like a national team event or something like that. But for the most part, you're right. They're individuals, and there's usually a camera on the boat, which is very much would stop you from cheating, or a marshal on the boat, which would very much stop you from cheating for sure.
Done.
But on the smaller tournaments, you're not gonna. They just not gonna have marshals. They're not gonna do that, right? They can't. They gotta hire a guy to do that.
So then don't get all pissed off when people cheat.
Right.
Say, hey guys, have at it. If you want to put some, extra, we're certainly not going to check your boats anymore. What are we checking your boats for? It's ridiculous. So no more checking of the boats. You want to use live bait? Well, we suggest that you don't. But hey, have at it. I mean, what do you want me to tell you?
You got a pocket full of leeches there.
Sure, go ahead. You want to cage them up because you caught them on Tuesday put them in a cage. Why not? Then it's good. And let's move on. But for you serious people, serious competitive anglers who want to challenge yourself and see how you do against a top level field, there's no more team tournaments. They're gone. Why would we be so, to me, it's no different than a treble hook is not a single hook. That's how I feel about tournaments. No different at all.
Yeah.
There's
got to be a way that somebody will still find a way of cheating. There'll be
How?
a way. I don't know. Somehow they'll pay off their partner. They'll say, you get all the prize money. I want the trophy. I don't know, whatever. Wow. You know what I mean? Hey.
Oh, you're taking an awful chance because if you say that to somebody,
yeah,
and
but
they
he's
say,
a criminal.
"Oh,
but
what
he's
are you
a criminal."
saying? What are you suggesting that you're going to cheat?
Yeah, I'm suggesting that. Don't you want it $10,000?
We're heading in. I'm going to turn you in right now.
Yeah, I'd call you a liar. You said it to me.
No,
you brought it to me.
Ridiculous.
I'm telling you, criminals, Bud.
Yeah.
Criminals. They're not good people.
Things learned in
That's why you lock your truck. Some bitch going to steal that nice truck of yours out in that parking lot.
I wish they would, actually.
They wouldn't, because they look and say, look who's painted that thing. What the hell?
I wish they would, to be honest with you. It would solve my problem. We're not going to talk about that, are we?
No, we're not going to
This
talk
is not
about
the
that.
episode
No.
we're going to talk about that.
No, we could one day. It might be a good
Oh,
one
no,
day.
I'm going to. I'm going to.
Yeah, right
trust
on.
me.
Yeah, once we see how it ends
Yeah,
up. Right,
yeah,
good,
yeah.
good point. We interrupt this program to bring you the much anticipated bonus code for the latest Fishing Canada giveaways. This week's code is Laker. All caps, L-A-K-E-R. Laker, a.k.a. the lowly old gray lake trout. Just type that in the bonus code section of the contest and receive 100 free entries towards all of our current giveaways. For those of you who aren't entered yet, what are you waiting for? Head over to fishingcanada.com while you're listening to the rest of this episode. Click Contests and sign up for all the latest Fishing Canada giveaways. And now, back to the episode.
All right. Things learned in 2023. Things that we
Is this
learned.
that we learned?
Yeah,
or
this
the
is for you
audience?
guys.
That us guys?
We learned
Yeah.
this.
All
Okay.
right.
Things that we learned in 2023. Number one on the list, fish feel sonar.
That's what we were talking about with Ryan. That one right,
Right.
there, that Ryan
And
Farrell.
what I said I was going to talk about later on. I believe I'm making a prediction. I think I've done it already on an episode. I don't know what number it is. I wasn't keeping track, but I am predicting that the next major breakthrough in this technology is going to be a unit that constantly changes its, I'll call it frequency for the lack of a better description, but the ability to change the pulsating signal that the fish are being bombarded with.
Scrambling it.
They're going to scramble it. They're going to change it constantly. So there's nothing consistent about it. It's just going to be a series of sounds and beeps and blips that the fish will not be able to determine is danger. Because right now what's happening is that if you sit on top of a school of fish and expose it to these pulsating blips of whatever it is, they're feeling it. In my opinion, and certainly in a lot of other people's opinion, they're feeling it. We've learned how to deal with that, but I think that moving forward, the next major piece of technology will be a sonar device that will not allow the fish to key in on what's happening.
That'll be a good one. If the Garmin can come up with something like that,
I'll tell you, they're working
that'd
on
be
it
a
as
game
we speak.
changer. That'd be a game changer for sure.
As we speak, it's being worked on. And
Scramble
they'll all
signal.
be.
The scramble signal, they
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Scrambler.
The scrambler.
Okay.
Don't worry about scrambling for fish anymore, folks, because they don't know you're there.
Exactly.
Hey.
It's like you're invisible.
Yeah, you're cloak and dagger. Let's get them.
Oh, look, Dean's taking notes, for God's
Oh
sake.
yeah, he's going to send that to Garmin and say, "Dear Garmin, my name's Dean Thompson.
I come up with this great idea."
I told Ange and Pete about this thing that was so cool."
But think about
I love it.
Think about that. It would take us to the next level because, you know, there's no question, I think, in most anglers' minds that use this type of technology, there's no question that the fish become aware of you pretty quick. So you have to kind of change the way you approach that. But anyways, number 2, open water walleye on inland lakes.
Yeah, this is not really a 2023 thing. And Dean, you remember we did it in KB in 22, and
Yeah.
we did it, and we've done it a little bit more, but we're doing it a lot more now. And that's not new to the walleye world. It's new to us. You know what I mean? We're always, Ange and I love jig fishing. We love throwing a jig on a piece of structure. Let's be honest, you know, or even live bait rigging or bottom bouncing. You're right on the bottom. You know, you're working some rock or whatever.
Drop shotting, any
Yeah,
of that
any of
stuff.
the drop shotting was huge for us now in walleye fishing. But this open water deal, you can't ignore the open water population of walleye in inland lakes. And if the lake's got walleye and it's got a bit of good basin to it and deep water basin-ish, you know, like 30, 40, 50 feet or whatever, you might want to start looking for some roamers out there too. That's all I'm saying. So I think it's coming more and more prevalent to us, anyways.
And we keep going around beating the same bush, but with forward-facing technology, or even side scanning for that matter, do you think it would be worth this at some point, rather than randomly trying to find those single walleye that are hanging out in open water? Do you think it'd make sense to start focusing on them and seeing if maybe they're working bait just like bass do in open water?
Right? To this day, but I use my traditional. Right. That's what I do. I look around, and I don't have to worry about the side. I know what they look like on traditional, and I don't even really look as much for bait as I do for just a kind of a loose population of walleye, because they will stay in certain areas. All of a sudden, your screen will start seeing 2 or 3 or 5 hooks on it instead of one here and then one away down there and one away down there. When you're finding that, usually you got to kind of put it in your head, okay, there's a good chance they'll be walleye. You can't be 100% sure, but there's a good chance those could be walleye. So now I've got in my nice big area that I've got 200 yards that I want to start, and then you start dragging your crankbaits through them. You start Yozurian it up with your crystal minnow baits and stuff like that. That's what I do. So and you can do it with the live too. You can do it with forward viewing.
You still rely on traditional for that, but the problem with that is that you're looking at history as opposed to present or future, because traditional is just
but
it's showing what you've already passed.
Oh no,
right?
but I'm just looking, and then I'll go back over that and fish it. So you wouldn't be doing any different even if it was side viewing, or if it was even forward viewing. You'd say, okay, they're up there. I cross them. Oh, there's some more up there. You're kind of using it to find the fish
that
first.
The area is holding some fish.
That's
so
what I'm looking. I'm not looking for a little pod, not one little school. I'm looking for all kinds of fish that are, all sizes and everywhere, sort of thing like that. And there's certain areas in the lake that hold that. So that's what I do when I try to find them.
I think a lot of the old timers were doing that before, and I think they're still doing it. Right?
Sure,
that's where
the guys that troll those map spinners in the middle of the lake,
trolling all those,
seeing those hooks. You know what I mean?
And we're saying, what are they doing out there?
Yeah,
like why are you over there? The fish were all here on this underwater hump.
Yeah,
right.
The one quick tip on this open water, looking for the open water fish like that, when you're looking at your traditional screen, if they're thin, little wee skinny hooks, little lines like that, don't worry so much about that. They have to be beefy. They have to have some solid, usually the colors that we use, there's a red or a brownish inside it, so it's like a dual color. If you see that nice thicker line, a bunch of those thicker lines, those are probably walleye or game fish at least. So there you go.
Cool. Number 3 of things learned in 23, smallmouth in New Brunswick. Oh my God!
Yeah. This is another one we discovered a little earlier. This is our second shoot for that, right? We did one.
Yeah. We've known about it for a number of years, but what we found this year, in terms of just the vastness of smallmouth in New Brunswick, it takes your breath away.
We went into an uncharted, non-mapped area that other guys have wanted to go up there. The East Coasters wanted to go in there, and Ange and I got in there, and it was ridiculous. It was so much fun. The amount of smallies we caught.
This is not water that's off limits to anybody.
No. But it's uncharted on the maps.
Uncharted, yeah.
On any maps. Yeah. Like there's no paper maps. There's no
nothing.
Garmin maps on it. We made our maps in there, but it was just unreal. It was just
the
unreal.
numbers were breathtaking.
Numbers were breathtaking. For sure. And the odd 4-pounder in there. And we know there's bigger than that in there too. We saw a couple of big baggies in there, but and fun. We were throwing, Ange was throwing a twitch bait, the Yozuri twitch bait, and I was throwing a Yozuri jerk bait, and we were just railing them. It was so much fun.
That might have been, and by the way, you'll see this on an upcoming Fishing Canada episode. I don't know what number
it's
it is.
Episode 3, I believe, and then coming up here, and it'll be so basically 3 Saturdays, probably from this today, whenever this is released.
Yeah,
I think
3 weeks from roughly 3 Saturdays from where we are right now. If you're not a regular viewer of the Fishing Canada show, you definitely want to check this one out. I don't think we've ever run into so many fish in our lives. God, it was so sick.
Fun. So much fun.
And shallow. That was the other thing about it too. There
was one point where we were working a little way back eddy. There's a lot of current in the St. John River. Working a back eddy, and I was hitting the 3 to 4 foot of water and nothing was happening. And Ange threw his twitch bait like almost on the rocks. It was a foot of water. One twitch, wham! All of a sudden, and then all of a sudden we found a pod of fish that were in a foot to 2 feet of water. It was incredible just to see the difference, the variances of, some of them were in the little current breaks. Some of them were way up on the bank like that right there, and some in between. It was just insane.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to, now it's not on our list of things learned, but that Yozuri twitch bait.
That's a 2023 deal for sure. Or 22 and 23.
It's 20. We started playing with it in 22, but didn't get serious about it until 23. And I got to tell you right now, if I have one bait, now I'm talking about the new large version of it. I don't know what it's called.
It's 4 and something inches. It's over 4 inches.
It's over 4 inches that they just put out this past year. I think it's originally a saltwater bait, if I'm not mistaken.
The freshwater version is the 3DB twitch bait.
Right.
That's the freshwater version with the black hooks on it.
Right.
I think it's just called the Ozuri twitch bait, something twitch bait, but no 3DB with the silver hooks on it.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
That's the saltwater version of it, and man.
It is nothing short of spectacular for any species. You look at it and say, well, you can't, that's a little large to be thrown for bass, isn't it? No.
And it's not. It's not at all.
They annihilate it.
As a matter of fact, I think the jerk baits we're throwing are longer.
Yes.
Than that. It's a thicker bait. It's like a big cigar almost. But the jerk baits we're throwing are even longer than that. So it's not a big bait, or it's very close to that jerk bait size. But such a dynamic. And that was all. I got to give this boy props on that one. He come back from iCast or whatever. He says, Petey, have I got the bait for us? He just knew it right off the hop. I don't know how you picked up on it, whatever. You looked at it, you brought him back, and I looked, I said, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Okay, good. I didn't think much more of it. And then all of a sudden, boom, that thing is like...
And pike, smallmouth.
We got that muskie up there when we're fishing for pike.
Stripers.
Stripers kill it.
Stripers absolutely... it's crazy. You owe it to yourself this year. You owe it to yourself. They're not expensive. They're like $12 or something. Like it's
typical Yozuri, the best Japanese price, for the quality you can get for sure.
You owe it to yourself. If you are into fishing, you owe it to yourself to get one of these twitch baits. Color, it doesn't really matter. Although in this particular shoot that we just talked about in New Brunswick, we did find that the one with the prism. Shiny prism inside it was maybe a little more effective, but that was just a byproduct of the environment. We were under certain conditions where that one outfished some of the other colors that we had. But oh my God, the gold one. If you're walleye fishing, they make a gold one
that's the saltwater version. That's the silver hook version, at least. I'm not sure if it's saltwater. It's got a great color. Black back with gold on it, and it just shimmers through that when it's a little overcast. Oh my God.
Anyways, I just wanted to give them a shout out because it certainly helped our fishing season for sure. Anything else in 23 that maybe is not on this list that you deem to be learned, things you learned? While you're thinking, I have one.
Go, please, because
I learned that you cannot outrun a horsefly.
At least with a 9.9 horsepower.
No, I learned that they can exceed 16 miles per hour. This year.
Yeah.
I never knew that before.
A good one. I should have put that down.
I now know that they can go faster than 16. I don't know what their limit is because we could only go 16. But I know now that you cannot outrun those things. Those
things.
They're just awful.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
So I learned that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I learned that.
I'll have to think. We'll carry on. If I think of something, I can go back to it. But
trends, predictions for 24. Predictions for 24. I think I already let that one out of the bag. I'm predicting that
your new thing from Garmin.
Yeah, I'm predicting that in 24, Garmin will have the ability to scramble its signal for their forward-facing sonar. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because where else? I mean, they stunned the world when they brought out with Forward Facing. That's for sure. They just stunned us all. So can they do that again with another stunner? I don't know. So they be working on. That's a good point. I mean, right now they've introduced wireless networking.
Yes,
which is pretty damn cool. And they're adding recordability on all the EchoMap units now too.
Oh,
so the more affordable, so you can record on your phone, not on a device, but you can on a plug-in device, but on your phone. So they're going forward and all that stuff. So I'm sure there's some good things.
So
in the
you
future.
say that they've eliminated networking between units?
No. So that yes and no.
Yes and no.
So now you can network 2 units, 3 units, 4 units wirelessly.
So you can do it wirelessly.
You can't network. You need a network cable to network LiveScope. So there still is that.
So LiveScope is still wired.
You have to be wired in. And if you wanted all units, you have to wire from what I understand anyways. But if you want waypoints, if you want just reading different screens, et cetera, all the other screens, wireless networking, which is huge, which is really huge. So.
Electric boats. I got all hot and bothered earlier this year. Remember, I showed you. I said, "Look! Oh my God!" And then I haven't heard any more on it. But there was a totally electric boat that was being, what do you call it when they try and get money? What do you call that?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. Yeah, there was a GoFundMe thing going on for this. Fishing boat, totally electric fishing boat, and it was state of the art. It looked like something out of Star Trek, and they were looking for $500 donations. I guess it was.
Yeah,
and
that would go towards the price.
Towards the purchase price.
Right.
They didn't know what the purchase price.
Yeah, they were thinking around $180,000 or something, if I'm not mistaken. US, I believe that was. So.
Yeah. And I was expecting some great things from it, but I haven't heard a thing.
Like the Tesla of electric boats is what that would be, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
I haven't heard any more on it.
Yeah,
So
I haven't either.
I haven't heard anything. No.
I'll try and look that one up because that was interesting. And
I even
sent them big screens their own built-in screens.
yeah.
I think,
and the floor would close in, so you had a whole deck.
I remember that beast.
I even sent him a little note saying I'd be interested in something like that.
Give me a couple. I'll take a couple. Right on.
They didn't even answer me. I guess
assholes. What's the matter with people nowadays?
I don't know.
They need to at least answer people.
I don't know. Baits and or techniques that will gain traction.
So, for new trends for 2024.
We keeping you up here?
No, I'm trying to figure this one out.
You're still figuring the last one out. Come on, get with the program.
Well, this one's because the trend right now, the biggest trend in the industry in the world of bass fishing is for sure the Demiki style fishing, where but the live sonar now, live scope. You're casting out and you're reeling these baits in above the fish and trying to get that fish to follow and bite. And the trend now is to make these baits, these small plastic, because they've got to be compact to look realistic. The trend now is to make them show up better on the live. Right? So they're making them fatter, and they're making different tungsten, they're making different materials, they're making so it's received better, as you can see it on the screen. Right?
And they make sonar, they reflect sonar better, right? Like they make jigs that are specific to live scope.
Exactly. That's what they're doing now. They're making that. That's exactly what it is. So that you're seeing it much better on your screen. So that's the latest trend in the bass fishing world, which I'm sure it can transcend into walleye and anything else as long as you're running live scope. So that's one of the things. I don't know. The Ned rig was big, obviously, right? I don't know what else is going on in the world of that.
Twitch baits, baby.
Yeah, we need to keep pushing that.
Twitch baits, baby.
I think we're the only ones that are pushing it too, to be honest with you.
Telling you.
I don't know anybody else is doing it.
Think about it. It's the best of all worlds. I think topwater fishing, first of all, from an angler's perspective, is one of the most exciting ways that you could possibly spend time out on the water. I think from a fish's standpoint, I think feeding above its sight line is probably done more often than not. So anything above its head, you just mentioned they're designing this pattern or a presentation so that you can bring the jig in above the fish's head. Twitch baits are the perfect answer for that.
Well, they are and they aren't because they don't dive deep enough fast enough, right? So
trend, if I was in the lure making business,
get those twitch baits down a bit more.
Get them down. Give me a 4-footer, give me a 6-footer. I know we have neutral buoyancy baits, but neutral buoyancy is not what's required to use that twitch bait action. Because what happens, by the way, with this twitch bait is that, when you impart the fast action on it, it does have that fluttering.
It's kind of like a walking the dog on the surface, presentation under the water.
But when you stop and give it slack, this twitch bait shimmers. That's what makes this thing work. So not only are you zigzagging it back to the boat, but in between the zigs and the zags, this thing, I don't know how or why, but it does one of these.
It's got to be the body shape. It has to be the body shape that just doesn't. It doesn't want to settle.
Right.
It has that, and Ange is right. When you watch that shimmer with one that has a shine like a prism, like Ange, it starts sparkling as it's sitting still. It's sparkling.
It's just doing this, sitting
looks
still.
Alive.
It just looks like it's taking a break from that big flash that you just put in, and now it's just sitting there going.
It does it every time. Every pause you put on it, it has a shimmer on it. That is probably the ultimate to push a fish into biting it right there. Right? As soon as it does that.
What they need to invent is that action on a bait that you can control its depth. And go to 4 and 6 and 8, 10 feet.
Yeah.
But have that action down there, because that's exactly what I think is triggering those fish that we're seeing on those balls of bait. I think every once in a while, one of the bait fish does something silly. And it might be as simple as just a quick little flash out of the school.
Sure.
So if you can build this bait, this twitch bait, to do that at different depths, holy smokes.
Yeah.
That would not be fair. That would become illegal.
I love it. I love it.
There you go. Mr. Yozuri or anybody else listening.
Yeah, if you want to look those baits up, just pull up in the internet, Yozuri twitch bait. That's all you have to write in there, and you will get at least a good view of what Ange is talking about here.
Plans and goals for 2024 before we sign off.
I think a big year coming up, do we?
I don't know. I think Dean thinks that we do because he put that in there.
Yeah.
What's going on this year?
I'm hoping to ice fish more on camera. It'd be nice to get an ice fishing show. We've had tons of people request that, actually. Tons. So it'd be nice to get that on the books.
Like what, 3 or 4?
I like that.
3 or 4, but that means like 300 or 400.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. He's pretty smart, eh? He'll take your theories and he'll start and put them right back in your face sometimes.
He's writing notes too. I've never seen him do that before. He's writing a lot of notes today. So are you volunteering to do these ice fishing?
I would love to. I would love to take the lead.
He's our ice man.
There you go. Dean Taylor will be shooting ice fishing shows in this calendar year.
Wow. Come on now.
It's now official. Dean Taylor will be doing the ice fishing shows.
He's our ice expert.
He's going to be our ice expert.
What are you and I going to be doing when that's going on?
I was thinking maybe we would take a nice, I think we should go on a nice bass fishing trip in Mexico.
Oh my God, buddy. Huh? You are talking my language.
They just reached out to me.
Good luck, Dean.
Come on down.
Have fun. And we don't even have to bring a camera. We're just going for fun.
Oh my God. That's the best part.
We just go for fun.
Aside from those shoots, personal trips. Well, maybe we could
Mexico.
Go to. I think we haven't been there. How long have we been there?
Oh my God, a long time ago, buddy.
They're catching fish
time ago
that would just make you choke. Is
it on fire again?
It's El Saltos, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, they're 100 fish days. And they're saying 4 to 5 is the norm of those 100 fish, with 8s to 12s thrown in.
Oh my God,
that's sick.
Oh my God, oh my God. And there's no worries with the safeties.
No,
still some lakes in certain areas are the gorillas are a bit of a problem, but good. That's it. We're doing that.
Done. It's on the list. New techniques or type of fishing that we are going to be doing. New techniques.
I'd love to be able to pull something out, but I don't know yet. Maybe that forward view that we're talking about, that's sonar, the forward viewing, running the jig above their heads once we get onto it. It's going to take some practice, but we can do that for sure.
New species. That's an interesting one.
I'd love to. I still have tiger muskie on my brain, and I still have tiger trout on my brain. So I'd love to get one of those just for personal reasons, but it'd be probably a great show too. We got tiger muskies here now. We got lots of them around. Rice Lake apparently is starting to load up
It's
with
still
them.
a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But they're a neat fish. Balsam Lake, where your family members are on. That's apparently it's got quite a few tigers in it now too. So that'd be cool for me to get a species like that. You have any species that you kind of bucket list that you never caught yet, or anything like that? No.
I can't think of any.
What's the one way up north? The Incanoo.
And just got those.
She-fish.
He's caught those.
Oh, you've caught them. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he has. I've never.
Yeah, she-fish they call it.
Yeah.
That's
Don't know
cool.
why, the Canoe. They're weird looking little. They're like a little freshwater tarpon.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're neat.
They
Yeah,
look
they're
like.
neat.
That
They get pretty
weird
big
mouth.
too, eh? Some of them get big.
Some of them get huge. Yeah.
I'd like to get a nice colorful char too. A nice colorful.
Remember
char.
those
We've caught
orange?
some-
Remember those
yeah,
orange char we caught?
Yeah, they weren't quite that red that they get.
We got a
in some of
couple.
Did we?
Oh, they were like orange, like a grapefruit orange.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at where was that?
Cambridge Bay.
Cambridge Bay. We were in a tent. We were overnighting in a tent on this particular one. I'm remembering, and it was windy as hell. And it was daylight all the time. There was no nighttime.
Definitely daylight all the time.
And it was windy, constantly
and our
windy.
buddy Shim wiped out on an ATV.
No, that's not the shoot. Yes, but that's not the shoot I'm thinking about.
It's a different. There was two parts to that, right? There was the muskox and there was the fishing.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't Cambridge. I
don't remember a tent.
So it wasn't Cambridge.
We landed on the tundra in an otter, a turbo otter. When the guy had the biggest, remember he had those tires on that looked like
tundra tires.
Tundra tires, big soft tires, and we landed on the roughest ground. And we said, "We're not landing there." He said, "Oh yeah, we are." Pulled her right down there. Had an ATV in the plane. Drove the ATV, put the ramp out, drove the ATV out, and started going to the fishing areas. Oh my God, that was crazy.
But there was a place where we stayed in a tent. It was a tent camp. It had 2 or 3 tents, and it was windy the whole time we were there.
Wow.
And we were fishing looked like just a small little pond, but it was
I don't think I was on that.
Small
It must
little
have been
lake.
pre-me, maybe.
Maybe it was pre-you.
Yeah.
But they were bright orange. Oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Crazy. Yeah, that'd be fun. I also want to get back. I don't know why. For the life of me, I have no reason in the world to want to do this again. But I'd also like to go and tackle some of those big sturgeons out in the Fraser.
Yeah, I thought about that too the other day. It's kind of neat.
It's short-lived though, because once you get out there and you get on the business end of the rod that's holding even like a 6-footer, never mind a 10 or a 12, but a 6-footer. After you do that once, you don't want to go up to bat again.
You tap out real quick.
out.
You really do.
They kill you.
Oh my God, it's true. But the jump of a big white sturgeon is something spectacular. Like if it's a 6, 7, 8 footer, when it comes almost sometimes completely out of the water. But even if they just do that tail walk, it's like, oh my God, it is something to behold. So good one, yeah. Maybe
So I
Vic,
guess
maybe we
those
got to call
could-
Vic up.
Those could be New Year's resolutions, maybe.
Yeah, I think that qualifies.
You think that qualifies?
Yeah.
Dean wants to go do battle with the sturgeon. I know that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
He wants to get
Yeah.
one of those. We'd get his bicep all pumped up. It'll,
Yeah.
Dean wants to do a lot of things. Dean is like having another child. You know what I mean? I want to do that.
well, he's gung ho. You know what I mean? He's better than a kid that says, "I don't want to do that," because then
That's
you got
true.
those kids that don't want to do anything.
True.
You know.
Outside of fishing, any New Year's resolutions?
The guitar.
Oh,
You
know
want to
what?
get more into the guitar?
You know what? You're right. I need to hone my skills on the guitar. Yes, that's good. I have to make that. Yeah.
So what we need to do, because you want to further yourself in banjo.
And I need to do that this year for sure.
So what we need to do is set aside maybe bi-weekly or
once a month,
jam where we come in here, bring our instruments, and we just muck around. And what that'll do, it will prompt us in between those sessions to work on things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
I'll put you in charge of that.
Okay.
All right.
I can organize that.
So that's my New Year's resolution, aside from, having some wonderful experiences out there fishing. That's what I would like to do.
Yeah, guitar. I like that. Classical. By the
way, I have one now.
You bought a classical guitar?
I didn't buy it. It was given to me.
Nice.
Johnny, my cousin who passed away.
Oh, right.
He had like 12 guitars, and the family gave me the classical guitar.
Nice.
So I haven't even.
They're a neat instrument, man. They're very different. But you know what? You've driven me. I'm going to try and learn to read music again, because I used to read it quite well.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. If I looked at it right now, there'd be no way I could look at it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Why? It's great to do that, but why? You don't really need to.
Just
for your own personal.
Yeah. Because it was fun when I did it. Because then I could pick a book up, a classical book, and I'd say something simple, and I would say, "Oh my God!" Like I learned Bach's Bourrée in E minor through a book. That's a hard song to play on a guitar. I did learn it. I couldn't do it now. There's no way I could do it now. But anybody wants to look that up on YouTube. Bach's Bourrée in E minor on a classical guitar. You'll go, holy shit, Bowman could play that?
So when I got this guitar given to me, I took it home and opened it up. I said, you know what? I'm going to change the strings on it.
Oh, nylons.
Yeah. No. I just said I want to put new strings. I don't know how long those have been on and stuff. So I went, didn't even look at the guitar. I just went and bought really good classical high-end guitar strings, brought them home, and got ready to change the strings until I found out, there isn't a hole that end goes into. You have to tie knots. You have to learn how to. Holy mackerel! That's a whole different ballgame, isn't it?
It's it's very, and the stretch, like when you're
like Moses with his. Hey? It's like Moses with his ass. Holy mackerel.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Anyways, that's an experience, but just learning those knots is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's different for sure. Restring it. It's not one of the things you want to do once a week. That's for sure. It takes 3 weeks to stretch them out, so I don't think you know what I mean. So, right on. Look at that, boys. We got to do incentive. Nothing to do with fishing there, but that's good.
That's it. Once a month, I want to see a schedule.
Okay.
And we'll make that happen.
Yep.
That are it. We did it. Made it through another year. We certainly are happy that you were able to join us in that journey, and we've got a great one coming up. I'm sure, I feel it in my bones that everything we talked about here will be amped up even more so for next year's version of this episode. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't forget the contest, fishingcanada.com. It's ongoing. The portal, the gateway to your next fishing adventure, is waiting for you at fishingcanada.com. The store, all kinds of great new items.
Shop.fishingcanada.com.
That's the one. All kinds of great new items going up there regularly, so keep in touch with it and have a peek. Don't forget the Fishing Canada show every Saturday, 8 a.m. I believe we may be the last man standing, by the way.
Yeah, yes.
I checked I had a meeting with Global a couple of days ago. And
So everybody's out? No.
On the national programs, we are the only one left. We are now surrounded by infomercials on Global.
Wow.
Oh my.
Everybody's gone.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I think that's worthy of a podcast episode.
Yeah.
We may be recording that very soon.
Okay. I know. I remember seeing something about one of the recently retired people on that.
We'll talk all about that.
Okay.
All right. Good. That are it. Thanks, folks. On behalf of the entire crew, Vova patiently sitting there, reading and doing whatever he does.
Bored out of his head.
Nick, absent as per usual. Maybe in the new year, maybe that should be a resolution.
Him being here?
Yeah, being here. Maybe somebody should enforce that, It's probably not a bad idea.
We'll get Madame Tangay to get on.
Exactly. The Countess, she knows how to drive that one. And Dean Taylor on the board, our producer. He's my co-host, Peter Bowman. I'm Angelo Viola. Thanks, folks. We'll catch you soon.